I hadn't actually made a video for about a week or so. Usually, actually, I did make one video. I did make one talk that I uploaded, but I don't think I uploaded it to my YouTube channel. It was just to I put it on Facebook. So I just listened to this Vince Dale talk, right? Or Dale Vince, Vince Dale, Dale Vince, Vince Dale. I think it's Dale Vince, right? I'd actually seen one of these videos. It was the Roger Hallam one. I've seen that one, but I haven't watched all of these. But I just watched the Dale Vince one. So I actually quite surprised by it. I've not really actually. I've only seen photos of him. I've not really heard him sort of speak properly before. He is quite a. I didn't really like him because of all this Labour business. To be honest, it put me off him. All this like Labour funding, just stop oil. I mean that really was a huge kind of like But it turns out that he's kind of like open to other parties, but he seems like he's one of these strategic voters, which is, I mean, fair enough, strategic voters, but there's a lot of movements like, Colchester Council Watch now who are really, and Verbs who've got a lot of people behind them. And they're like, just, why should we vote for any of these people, Why vote for someone if you don't trust them or believe in them, just to get what you want out of them? I mean, maybe that's why he's a successful businessman. What I was going to say is that he clearly is a remarkable guy. Dale's definitely a remarkable guy, but although, we don't know the actual full true story, as in like, if you're watching it in a movie, I mean, he paints the picture of, he's just knocking around Stroud, almost like some kind of traveller or kind of hippie, and then the next thing is business owner making electric cars and owning power stations. It's that there must be something else in the middle that he's got some kind of skill, whether it's people skills, extremely social. But this is the thing, he's maybe, he's prepared to work with Labour or support Labour or do this or that, where other people wouldn't be prepared to work with Labour or do this or that. Maybe that's the thing. This is why I think a lot of people who don't like the government and the corporate elite aren't prepared to sell their soul for money, for excesses. I mean, it's good that, he's not, joining with all these big corporate investors like BlackRock, Vanguard and so forth, and keeping away from all that. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is the problem with Brand, Brand is what, he's pushing peace and love and, against the establishment, but he's always, he's all this kind of like, Trump, Brand is a Trump fanatic. And even though he supports, Vanna Shiva and all these other gurus, he's into this Tony Robbins guy, and those type of people. I'm not saying that, Tony Robbins is a nasty person or anything like that at all, but these guru people, it's all a bit X Factor to me. It's very much like, singing in Simon Cowell's swimming pool. It's like, hey, I'm Tony Robbins, it's like Greg Secker. Hey, I'm Tony Robbins. He's my swimming pool, on the ocean, let's do peace and love, make some money, we'll make the world okay, I'll make you successful. But, here I am, Tony Robbins. I've got to pay the bills, Tony Robbins has got to pay Tony Robbins bills, Tony Robbins has got a villa, Tony Robbins travels the world, but, Tony Robbins has got to pay Tony Robbins bills. So, if Tony Robbins isn't your guru, who is? Send the money in a stamped address envelope. We'll make all your we'll make your dreams come true. Just put the money in the envelope and send it into Tony Robbins. That's the way that Brand. I do believe Brand is into free speech. I've gone onto a tangent now about, these people, but I guess you've got to compare Dale to other successful people when I say, like, he's a remarkable guy. It's true that, Brand, grew up, had, like a very, ordinary upbringing, but then he ended up being a minor celebrity and then a major celebrity and so forth, and then a movie star, and now, but you know, I do think Brand advocates free speech because, you know, he practices what he preaches. He lets you, he never, well, he doesn't criticize people, you know, he lets people, you know, post what they want in the comments, but it's YouTube who are controlling. Brand doesn't need to control, you know, the speech underneath his videos. He can say, you know, put what you want because, you know, YouTube are controlling him. You know, that's the thing. You know, he's saying to everyone in his comments, you know, put what you want. You know, everyone can speak freely here. But they can't because YouTube are controlling his audience, not him, you know. So, well, YouTube are controlling him. But with all the recent, you know, business deals, buy some gold, this or that, I'm starting to wonder if Brand is not like, and Tony Robbins are kind of a little bit like Nostradamus, you know, or you know, the Russians had this religious guru or religious, you know, the Russian royal family had this, you know, holy man, this religious guy who was, you know, guiding them all and so forth, taking advice from him. You know, I'm starting to think that maybe Brand could be like the guru of the elite establishment, you know, because, you know, what the elite want to do is actually tear down the government. And the elite are against governments because they don't want the government to control the world because, you know, they're getting everyone to consent, submit and accept their policies, which effectively become law because you've got, you know, and once all of the products that you own, including your house, are owned by these companies and you consented and accepted to everything that they own, then there's nothing that you can do. Every single thing that you can do is through your house, your phone, or your car, which they own and you've consented to their policies. So, I mean, you can't get anywhere without using the car. You can't live without the house, and you can't communicate without the phone. It's like, you know, Royal Mail, the Post, you know, water, electricity, everything. So you don't need a government. If you've accepted and consented and submitted to policies and laws which are owned by corporate companies, then, and you can only do what they say on their things, which, by the way, you know, you don't even really own them because they can, like, click their fingers and update and change them when they want. Almost like click their thing. They can literally click their fingers, you know, and, you know, all your vases on your windows change shape or colour at the whim of Mark Zuckerberg, you know. Even though he says you can choose the colour of your phone for now until I update it, and then I'm deciding what apps you've got and what patterns they're going to be and what colours and font they are, you know, updated from Zuckerberg headquarters. You know, this is it. So, you know, I haven't watched Brand for a few weeks now, so we're getting a little bit bored with the repetitive subjects on it. I like Brand. I don't dislike the guy. He's a likable guy. But after a while, I'm like, you know, it is like having a vinyl collection, and you know, there's only, like, you know, so many different vinyls you can put on, and it's kind of like, oh, what records Brand putting on this week? You know, it's really turned me off with all this Trump business and all this guru stuff. I really starting to think that he could be like the spiritual leader of the corporate elite, although not knowingly. Kind of like they've kind of picked him out, and he's unknowingly kind of like advocating for the corporate elite as their religious holy man, as their guru, in a way. Why did I bring that example in? Because I kind of felt like I needed to. So when I'm assessing, because of like Dale and all his success and his money and his, you know, what's, you know, the story behind it. So how did he do all that? Well, he's definitely got to be able to work with people, and anyone who succeeded in business is into making money and profits. And to make money and profits, you've got to take money off people, but you've also got to work with people. You know, I went through a phase or a period when I was just, you know, like a fountain of ideas. In a way, really, I enjoyed watching this video with Dale because, you know, he seems like a guy who's really open to innovation and ideas for natural energy and you know, food sources, and basically, you know, actually how a vision of, you know, utopia, basically. I mean, that is the type of thing that I was thinking of in my head, but I actually started making models, literally, I was literally pouring out all these ideas for things to improve, ideas for vehicles, ideas for power stations, ideas for, loads of things. I actually sent into the government as well, but I just didn't have got the ideas for what it should be and how it's going to work. Maybe not down to the absolute millimeter of what metal it should be made out of, and the exact resistors and transistor flow, but the general gist of it. But it's just impossible to get it done because don't seem to be able to get anyone to do it or agree with doing it or sort out any deals or anything. Even now, no one seems to want to do anything when you ask them, but they're doing things with other people. There's definitely something, you've got to have people skills or you've got to, be able to get people to say yes, yes, yes. So Dale's definitely, a person who gets people to say yes, yes, yes. That's for sure. There is a remarkability about him. And he obviously does, get the ideas as well, or meet the right people with ideas. So I did quite enjoy the video. But why have I even started recording this? I haven't even started recording this really because of the clean energy. So in this video talk, they're kind of slagging off Farage. Now, Led by Donkeys have been pretty much everyone in the kind of, like circles of, Double Down News, Led by Donkeys, Big Brother Watch, kind of like, Julian Assange, that kind of sort of area. I suppose you could put Dale into that, although he's more Labour, isn't he? But generally, they don't like Farage because they say that he's a racist. Now, the thing is, I have just while I was watching this Dale Vince video, right? I got the calculator out because I thought of this before, and this is only based on numbers. This is not based on any opinions about anyone. It's not based on any. It's not based on who you are or what you look like or anything like that. But it's based on mathematics and nothing else, right? Now, I've just calculated, right? So, India, for example, the landmass, the area of India, right, is around 3.287 million kilometers square, right? And there's about 1.47 billion people there. Now that, according to this, now if I don't know if my calculator is working properly, if I've done the maths wrong, if I didn't do the equation properly, if I, didn't know how to work it out, but if I have done the maths right, which I might not have done, but this is like just while I was watching this video, I was kind of like just doing it while I was watching the video at the same time. If my maths is right, which it might not be, I worked it out at, unless I've put it into the calculator wrong, in India, if you spread all the people in India out so they all had their own little bit of land, they would have 2.19 meters each. Is that right? I'm not too sure if that's correct or not. 2.19 meters each of space. That's 2 meters. So if you get a meter ruler out and another meter ruler together, that's literally, you might be able. Can you lay down? I think you can lay down in 2 meters. I think, yeah. If I put a meter ruler up, yeah, it's more than what I am high. So you could definitely lay down in 2 meters. It's enough to sleep on. It's probably just enough space to have a bed and a toilet. 2 meters, 2.19. Oh no, it's 2.19 meters square. So 2 meters square is probably enough space to have a bed and a toilet, right, and maybe a chair, right? I'm I'm not sure if that's right or not, but India is a big place, but there's a lot of people there. In England, if I've done the maths right, which I might not have done, and I'm not embarrassed about it if I've done it wrong, because this is just like I kind of just like did it quick, sort of off the cuff while I was watching the video. In England, if everyone spreads out, there is 3.6 meters square each. So 3 meters square each in England. So you get England's smaller than India, and there's a hell of a lot more people in India than England, but you get a little bit more space in England. Each person, if we all spread out and shared the land, would have 3.6 meters each. So you get a little bit more living space. So you could have like a bed, a toilet, a chair, and maybe a nice little garden to have cucumber sandwiches in with a little white fence around it, maybe with some astroturf or something. No, you actually get a real bit of grass for that. So effectively, you could say that if I've done the maths right, everyone in England gets a toilet, a bed, and a chair like an Indian guy, but everyone in England gets a little bit of grass with a little white wooden fence garden as well to make it look pretty, which they don't get that privilege in India. They just get the toilet, bed, and chair. Now, in America, if I've done the maths right, it works out at, and I don't know if I've done this, the information might not have been right on the internet, because there was actually some different figures coming up from different websites were giving different figures, so I just had to pick one of the figures, and this is like generally. In America, for how many people there are there and how much land, North America, not South America, we're building a wall, right? They get 41,000, 41, I think that's 41, is that 41? I think they get 41 metres each. It's not 41,000, they don't get 41,000 metres each, surely. They get 41 metres each, I think. I think it was 41.450. Everything's bigger in Texas. Wide boys, big boys. Fat Willie's Surf Shack, big, go large. That's Tony Robbins' house, that. 41 metres each is that, or have I got that right? It's not 41,000 metres each. I think it's 41 metres each. They get 41 metres square each, right? And they're complaining about people going over the border. Now, Rishi Sunak has said that he feels like California is home. California is his home. He wants to move to California. He doesn't feel an affinity for his his ancestry in India. Well, I'm not surprised if I've done the maths right and it is 2.19 meters each. No wonder little Rishi doesn't want to move to India, because he only gets 2.19 meters of land if you share it out. And in England, he's not that much better off. He only gets his nice little North Yorkshire garden with his white fence around it. But if he goes to America and we share everything out equally between each other with the land, Rishi gets 41 metres of land. And that's shared out equally. So he's definitely doing something right. He knows where to go. He knows the place to be. So what I would say about immigration in England is that, why come here? Why not go to America? Well, I think they were. They were spilling over the border, weren't they? And Trump's tried to block them off. And now RFK Jr. wants to stop them coming in there. Well, illegally. Wants to stop them going in there illegally. So the way I calculate it on here, it should be America who's taking all the Ukrainian refugees. What we should be doing is we should all be paying for all the Ukrainians to be flown to America. Never mind Rwanda. You got Professor Tim Wilson's ears are steaming Professor Tim Wilson's steaming. His glasses are steaming up because, all these refugees are being sent to Rwanda and they're all cursing Suella Braverman and their evil plans, right? Yeah, America ain't short of space, And I hate to do, do you want me to do the maths for Russia? Does Mr. Putin want us to do the mathematics for Russia? How many population they've got and what land they've got? And he's the one in a temper tantrum, riding around with his arm up in the air in a two-seat convertible, God knows what it is, Putin is got, Putin needs to, half of the people in Russia left because they didn't want to go to war. I don't know what Putin's problem is. I don't know why isn't he singing? I wanna sex you up. Why aren't we all being invited? To from Russia with love. Why aren't we all being invited to make make love with Russia? That's the problem. What's Putin doing? Instead, he wants to make love with missiles, and both America and Russia are the ones that they've got, they've probably got 50, I wouldn't be surprised if they ain't got 50 metres square each, 50 metres square in Russia, I won't be surprised, or more each. So Biden and Putin are, the last time I saw Biden, he was pretending to be a Madame Tussauds wax figure. I definitely know that he's taking the piss now. Everyone wasn't sure whether he was going, crazy or whether he was just taking the piss, but he's joking now. It's all acting. He's an actor like Ronald Reagan. Biden is now, it's all acting. Even when he tripped up on the stage, we know he's acting it. So, why doesn't he act? He's not acting full, is he? He's definitely not acting full, although they're pretending that they're full now because they're just stopping everyone flowing in through the, border. And I don't think the Amazon is full of people because, half of them died of diseases. So the way I work it out is, by maths. Why do people want to come to England anyway? Well, what about Route 6? Get your kicks on Route 66. Death Valley, the Niagara Falls, Mount Rushmore, Virginia, Alabama, Canada. So, why do they even want to come to England? I don't know. Because, the only thing that you get compared to, and what the thing with Extinction Rebellion is, this is what they say, they're burning up, it's too hot. So this is what I don't get, and forgive me if I'm a retarded, why is Dale Vince not highly interested in solar power in India? If they're all burning and they're on fire, it's too hot, and they all need oxygen masks. Why, you'd think that he's like, whoa, you'd think that he's, solar power will be on fire over there, whoa, solar, surely with all those mountainous ranges as well, he'd probably be good for wind farms. But then you get Vahana Shiva, we'll be protesting against them all, So, I don't know why Dale is not fanatically obsessed with solar power in North Africa, Tunisia, all along the coast of North Africa, fill the Sahara with solar panels, in America. I just don't think that we need it here because there's plenty, we're surrounded by water, so water has surely got to be the answer for electricity. But looking at these figures, if I've done the maths right, America and Russia are taking the piss out of us all. And whatever wars are happening, whatever's going on with Ukraine, Saudi, Iran, Iraq, they're taking the piss out of us. And, the problem is they're playing on the emotions of the women, like you get Angela Ditchfield and so forth, particularly people who are foreign themselves or have had, like Professor Tim Wilson with his family background and history. They're extremely sympathetic to immigrants and people who are from separated or strange family backgrounds. And the wars playing, they're exceptionally vulnerable and they get really upset. And, no one's saying, give, a pair of rods to these people and tell them to go away. But, why aren't the Americans taking them? Why don't the Americans legally take them, right? Instead of illegally taking all the people going over the border in the south? Why isn't Putin taking them all in? Half the people in Russia who were, honourable citizens who were proud of being Russian, but who didn't want to go to war, left. People had to leave their own country because their leader wanted to go to a war. Putin is a nutcase, and Biden, they're very selfish people. They're extremely selfish. This is all about rich people. It's about corporate money. It's about shares in oil resources, who owns what, how much they're making out of it, and whose rules we follow. And when after the corporate entities now that have got businesses in Russia, America, India, England, China, right? The policies are consent, submit, accept, comply. So why is Putin give a flying fuck about what the law is in Russia or England or America when all the companies now that are selling cars, houses, mobile phones are consent, submit, accept, comply, right? So it's Biden and Putin are insane. They actually are delusional, insane, very selfish people. They have got over 41 square metre a person, right? And here, all we get on the Indians, even though Indians have got massive amount of space more than us here, is we just get a prettier garden, right? So Americans and Russians are taking the piss out of us all now. If you want to work this out for Australia, you can do that. They blocked people going into Australia for years. You couldn't get in there. It was always like breaking into Alcatraz, emigrating to Australia. You had to be like a star. You had to be a tool maker, like Starmer's dad. My dad was a highly skilled tool maker. Well, he could have emigrated to Australia then, unless he's a brain surgeon, you couldn't get into Australia, unless you were a highly skilled tool maker, in the 80s, they wouldn't have you, Putin and Biden need to get real. They're exceptionally greedy, exceptionally selfish. And, Biden's sitting there with, 41 metres square per person, which they probably need it in Texas, when they've finished the Twinkies, because they probably need an extra. Tony Robbins probably needs 20 metres square. In fact, Albert Tucker Carlson needs another 20,000 rounds of bullets. So if everyone in England's only got 2.19 metres square each, and in India they've only got, in India they've got 2.1 metres each, and in England 3.6 metres each, where am I going to keep all my rounds of bullets? It's a good job that guns are illegal in England because they haven't got any space for the bullets, but Tucker has in his fucking log cabin in the woods, and I'm someone who supports Tucker. I'm a Tucker fan, but, if Tucker wants bullets, well, he's lucky for him. He's got 41 metres square to keep his, extra 20 rounds of bullets. You could probably fit a bear in there. Be like inviting Yogi Bear around for dinner. In fact, he's got enough room to have Yogi Bear on the dinner table. Have a leg of lamb. This is it. No wonder Sunak's moving to California's home for me. I can stretch out. I got 2 houses in England, but they've only got a small garden. You know, if I want to go back to India, I'll have a garden. You know, it's Putin and Biden are very greedy, selfish people. They're extremely greedy, they're extremely selfish, and they're obsessed with rules, right? Consent, submit, accept. You know, consent, submit, accept, comply, kneel. You know, well, you'll have to kneel if you've only got 2 meters square. You know, if you have guests round, there isn't enough chairs for your guests. You'll have to kneel. Come around to see, come around to Rishi's India house where he's got 2 meters square. Kneel before Rishi. There's no room for chairs here. Kneel before Rishi. This is it. So, Putin and Biden is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Putin and Biden are extremely selfish people. Greed, pure greed,